Yeah, they got everything. So good. Did she end up with that?
Yeah.
She woke up now with the first thing she see. Wow. Separated everything. The chemo had shrunk everything down so well. One or two presentations. We're waiting on technology to catch up with us, so.
We're live now, so
Oh, we're live now?
I don't have the link. Oh, there it is. I just got it. Just came to me.
Should I maybe sit towards that? Is this
you can
kind
sit
of?
wherever you
No,
like.
yeah,
In fact, you know,
It's fine.
you're fine right there. Okay.
No problem. People who are making presentations will make presentations from the center table, so you're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, he took a phone call. All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And first thing is pledge of allegiance. Aaron, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Approval of the consent agenda.
I sadly looking at retirements and resignations.
Yes. I sadly second that one. We'll all just be sad together.
Okay.
Susan, do you have an addition to the consent agenda?
Oh, that's.
Oh, right.
Would you like to modify it to
Thank
include the
Sure, I
email?
would modify my motion to include the leave of absence, right? Yeah.
And I'll second that same thought.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Request for agenda modifications.
We have one that Michelle and I have, in the policy review, EBBB. There were some changes that came through today, and they're minimal changes. And so, we wanted to raise that to, if the board chose to approve all the policies in one fell swoop, we'd like to pull that one out.
We don't want to go off of the printed copy.
The printed copy that was on your table is fine.
Okay.
But from what was in the packet, it's a little bit different, and so we wanted to make sure that people were aware of that change and pull that out if we needed to be able to have any conversation on that one before just going ahead and approving it.
Okay. Thank you.
That's only one, then just that policy?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
nobody else have anything? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Michelle, do you have any cards?
So was I supposed to sign something?
Yeah, a little green card over there if you want.
Am I too late?
Yeah, if you're quick.
Okay, how many minutes can I have?
You can have 3 minutes.
3 minutes,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll just skip the
I'll fill
card.
it out.
Just tell us who you are. Yeah.
Laurel Smouse, and I live out at Wren.
Okay.
And I have had kids that have come through the school district and graduated. The reason I'm here is, it was just brought to my attention, a draft for Simon Babcock's classes, that he is being entertained to do botany and shortening his School of Forestry. Instead of 2 periods, it's now going to be taken down to 1 period. When was this discussed? And what, is it something that should have been brought to the public so that there are other parents out there that maybe would have came and commented? Or how was this decision made? Anybody?
Entertain that if you would like me to, or you
Yeah.
can respond to it after.
Well, I'd like
The meeting will be at email.
I'd like to stick to kind of our policy of not having the interaction in the board meeting. But we'll direct Susan to contact you and talk to you about that.
Oh, so this doesn't go for the public
Public
comment?
comment is just.
Well,
one way,
it's a comment, it's for you to comment on whatever you want to comment on. And
Okay.
we get your comment that you have concern over the class schedule
Gotcha.
and.
Then you guys will contact me later.
Right,
and have
Susan will get a hold of you and have a conversation with you.
Okay,
But we try not to get into conversation during the board
Gotcha.
meeting simply because, a lot of it because of the time.
okay. I just want to say then, I'm going to comment that it was just brought to my attention. I'm concerned because maybe this wasn't brought out into the public. I think there would have been more people here as a comment. I'm hoping that you guys will reconsider this because there are students, I know the numbers are low, but I know there are students that are getting to that 3rd and 4th year of that program. And I'm concerned on what those kids are going to do. Also, another comment is I'm wondering if this has happened because of the COVID issue, or did this happen, has it been happening for 10 years, or is it because of COVID? Those are comments that I'd like to make. And I'll try to email all my concerns and stuff too, but I was told you guys were making a decision tonight. So how does that work if,
The class schedules are not under the purview of the school board. That is a decision made in the buildings by employees of the district. The school board does not set
okay,
schedules.
Yeah, we don't set schedules. That's, if it's a high school question, it's through the high school.
Okay, I guess I was kind of misinformed a little bit. So what you're telling me is then it's not a given that this is going to happen because it's within the high school. Is that correct?
Things can, I taught at high school for 30 years, things can change. Next week, something could change to change the schedule and to change the way
So do
classes
I need
are.
to then
I'll
express my
yeah.
concerns then to her? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Susan will reach out to you, Lori. and,
Okay, sounds good.
You guys can have a conversation and
Gotcha.
that way that.
Yeah, I learned something new tonight
I'm
about
sure Mark will be in the loop of the whole thing. Mark Anderson, he's the principal at the high school.
okay?
Lori Smouse. So, okay, well, while you're doing that, then if you want to just hand that to Michelle, that'd be perfect. Thanks, Lori.
So it shows you how long it's been since I've been to.
And thanks for your comments, appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, reports. Student government,
Lots of them.
yeah, student government report.
I've got one this week. So, we've got 4 weeks of school up. So things are starting to wrap up at the high school. We had AP testing last week, so like a lot of students are recovering from that. We had ASB elections Monday, and Colton, Ruska, and myself are gonna be next year's ASB co-presidents.
Congratulations.
So thank you. We're looking forward to it. We're already workshopping some ideas for next year. ASB hosted a blood drive April 22nd, and we exceeded our donation goal with 58 pints. We had over 80 actually sign up to give, so we were excited about that. And homegoing is in 2 weeks. That's when we celebrate the end of the school year and seniors leaving. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for that short week. On Tuesday, we have a pancake breakfast, so we'll be serving breakfast that morning as kids go to school. And then Wednesday is powder tough, which is when the guys play volleyball, and we'll have a luau afterwards where we'll serve chicken, and macaroni and rice, and pancakes. And then Thursday is the talent show, so that'll be after first period and an opportunity for kids in school to perform. And Friday is field day, so we'll have a lot of games and prizes then, and our mess assembly, which is a tradition every year. So, yeah, just pretty busy right now in ASB, but you guys are doing you, yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good report.
If
Moving
I might
right,
just interject one thing, I'm sorry, it's, the reason we didn't have the student representative to the board conversation yet is there's a new policy, we haven't had a chance to get through policy committee. So if you might, and you have to deal with it now, because it's probably gonna end up happening. One thing off your plate, you're welcome. So, but not to say it won't happen, it's just, there's a new policy suggestion, so.
robotics presentation.
So while they're, excuse me, Director Wells and Superintendent Holliday and board, my name is Tom Thompson. I am the lead mentor, coach, whatever it is for robotics teams through high school and middle school. Been doing that for, I think it's like 22 years or something like that, in a long time, but it's been a good time. And I just want to spend just a minute or two and introduce this group of students who's going to present about our programs. We have both middle school and high school students here. So Andy Glover is 7th grade, right, Andy? Yeah, and Andy's kind of unique in that he was on one of our middle school teams and loved it so much that he just couldn't take it, he couldn't get enough, and ended up moving into the high school team and was part of that. Evan O'Rourke, who was 6th grader and was on our brand new middle school team. We have 2 middle school teams. Logan Todd, who was the, I don't know, we gave you the official title, but was the, what do we call it, the lead, the team lead, kind of like the president or whatever, the school board superintendent or board chair or something. Anyway, and Caleb Garcia, who's worked with electrical components of the robot. These four kind of want to tell you a little bit about their experience and entertain any questions, so.
Who's your helper behind you?
I'm sorry. Steve King, and we decided, we were debating how long, he says 7 years.
Yeah.
So they'll talk about where they picked him up somewhere along the line. But, we have a number of other adult volunteers who are working with the team too. So.
Okay, yeah.
And so we're Fred, and we're ready to go on to the next slide. So most of you wondering what exactly we are, and FRED stands for Philomath High School Robotics and Engineering Division, and we're divided into mainly 4 sub-teams, which are electrical, mechanical, software, and marketing. And then from here on, we'll explain this like a little more.
So from these 4 sub-teams that actually are what make up both the FTC and the FRC teams. So with FTC, it is mostly middle school teams who build a robot about the size 18-inch by 18-inch. And then the FRC teams is mostly high schoolers who build a robot that's at maximum like 4 feet tall, a lot wider, so a lot bigger robot. And in both of these teams, we have about 8 weeks to design and build a robot before our first competition. And then we have at least like a few week gap sometimes, maybe a 1 week gap to build or to make our robot better and compete in another competition. And with these 3 teams, 2 from FTC and 1 from FRC, we run about a $25,000 annual budget.
For our 8 for 7 FRC team, we were 4 ranking points from competing at districts, which is 1 level up from the regionals that everybody competes in. We placed top 10 at both the competitions we competed in, and we won Gracious Professionalism at the first one, and the Inspire Award at the second one, which both add to our ranking points.
The Imagery Award, not the Inspire.
That's a different one that we tried to get.
For the FTC teams 24, 195, and 8 and 2, both of our teams competed twice, and 24, 195 made it to the state competition, which was surprising because 24, 195 is all 6th graders, and it's our team's very first year. It's our rookie year.
Sweet.
It's also a lot of people in Fred's first time doing robotics.
And then next up is outreach. We're not going to go through every single detail there. That's just something back to later. This is mainly just how we hope to gain new members and keep our team alive. And the one that I'm going to talk about is the PYAC Carnival, which is last year we were hoping to start a first Lego League, which is for 4th and 5th graders. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it because we didn't quite have what we needed. But I contacted Sarah Woosley to get Fred involved with PYAC Carnival and just stirring up some inspiration with the kids and wanting to do that. We just let them drive around some robots, give them little stickers and make it a little bit, just overall try to let them have fun. And then this upcoming season, we are going to be able to have the FLL team, so we're going to do this again. Hope to serve some more these exciting thoughts in the children. Keep it going.
And then another one of our big outreach events.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Another one of our big outreach events is the Benton County Fair. We've been going to the Benton County Fair for probably one of our longest outreach events by now. We pretty much bring our small robots and let kids drive, give them stickers, along with we actually show off our bigger robots along with other FRC teams from around the area. This is one of our most sustainable outreach events. I can name at least 2 mentors currently on the team that we got from here. We got Steve, he's been here for around 7 years, and we got Sharice Ford, who's been here for 2 years now, and she's our marketing lead. But yeah, we've definitely also got a few members from this, and it has definitely just helped us grow as a team.
And next up is fundraising, which is, of course, without money, you can't have this expensive team. And one of the biggest ones is the rummage sale, which we had 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we get rummage, we sell it, and then we also partner with Mattress World for that. They come, they bring some mattresses, they sell them for really cheap, and then we get a cut of profits. And this year, we made about 2,700 So it was a big improvement from last year, and we're hoping that we can just keep growing.
And then another one of our fundraising events, it's more for like very specific stuff, is the Boosters Club. We can make a presentation, kind of like what we did here, but about some specific item that we want, presented to the Philomath Boosters Club at the high school, and they can fund us in getting the item. So about a year ago, we made a presentation about Swerve Drive, which is a drivetrain for our FRC robot. And they funded $2,700 for that, and it really helped us get a competitive advantage this year.
We also do sorting cans and bottles from donated from Hollingsworth and Voss, and then we recycle them for money. It's really gross, but.
Another fundraiser that we do is the Chipotle fundraiser in September at Chipotle. Another restaurant fundraiser that we're doing is coming up is at McMenamin's on Monroe on the 20th of this month, 5 p.m. to closing. Dine-in only, though. We hope to see you there.
And then the next slide is just asking you questions you have.
What is your season?
It's about January through early March.
So for the FRC is January through early March is what qualifiers are. And then for FTC, it starts around September. Right after school starts, yeah. And we didn't have our first competition until probably December, but that goes all the way through early March if we're gonna go to like Worlds and stuff. So yeah, at first FTC is a lot longer of a season. Smaller robots. FTC is a shorter season. About 8 weeks before our first competition, after we know what the game is, and yeah.
We only have about a couple weeks in between FTC and FRC starts.
They do have some overlap.
So you're talking about competitions, so the only thing I think about when I see your robot is like BattleBots. So what do you do with competitions? Like, what is a robotics competition?
So,
do you want to explain this?
Sure. Well, we actually have a video on it in the slideshow, but basically this is our robot. So the scoring element is pixels, and there's a field with backdrops that you can place the pixels on. And the field also has some riggings or some bars that the robot can hang from or launch a drone over. So there are 3 main parts to it. The autonomous period where the robot can do stuff where you can't touch the controllers, but it's just your robot doing everything autonomous. And there's the next part is the driver control period where the drivers control it. It's kind of self-explanatory. Then the next part is the end game where you can launch the drone over the bars and hang from the bars also. And the drones, there's 3 drone zones. If the drone lands in the first one, it costs like 34.
It's like the closer it is to the field, the more points it's worth.
And more points at the end of the match wins.
And the drones, I don't understand what you're saying. But the drones are just a paper airplane, and then they're just loaded onto that launcher and just shoots it out. And then FRC is, the robots are about this big, probably. And that one, there's little circles that the robot will pick up, and then it'll shoot it about 8 feet high. Shoot them up there. And then there's also a hanging element to that, where there's a chain that sort of droops like this, and they'll have little arms, hooks, stuff like that. It'll go up, it'll pick, and then the robot will pull itself up onto there. And then fairly standard. If you want to, if you go to the next slide, radio wristband.
The FRC game is pretty quick.
Yeah.
And if we can do that first one there, see whether we'll pick it up or not. Kind of depends on, is it live? Is it late live?
Looks like it.
It's doing something.
That's good, okay. Yeah, so much, yeah. Yeah, that's okay, yeah.
It's okay.
Well, can you email us out that slide deck, you can watch it.
Yeah, I can.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We can watch it.
It's pretty cool, they're actually, it's fun. One is the big robot, and the Fred, which is a robot, is 847. The other one is, actually has two jumps, one of them is one of the teams, the team that Evan was on, and the other is the one that Evan was on, so it has two matches.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say I love seeing your fair every year. We always make sure that we stop in and see what you built this year and see how things went. So I love that you're going to continue doing that moving forward.
It's a lot of fun.
Anybody else got anything?
I'm impressed at how you guys talk about it and your knowledge on it. Good job.
They're quite detailed tasks
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
they ask you to do, and to build to the specification to make sure that it doesn't shoot 10 feet instead of 8 feet. To be able to do that, that's always the thing that's been absolutely amazing for me when I watch those things, is how detailed you have to be to make it just the right way.
Do the overall planning organization, do they give you any materials, or do you have to come up with it all on your own?
So, yeah, right.
Okay. So they can, I mean, there's like kits you can buy, kind of like starter kit or starter box. A lot of rookie teams use them. So this was actually from a company called Rev Robotics, this design. So we pretty much took this design and made a few alterations to it and made it our own, and that's kind of
Okay, nice.
Yeah, the big robot, however, was pretty
Yeah.
much from scratch, their own thinking, and working with that.
Take that technical skill and those creative problem solving skill and we'll take you really far in life.
Are you able to break down last year's robot and use parts of it for this year's robot, or?
Yeah, we have to, pretty much that's, and although Evan will probably just cover his eyes and break into tears seeing it, next year, we have to tear that completely apart to start with a new one. Can't you reuse the robots from out here? So it's a brand new challenge, a brand new thing, so we just have to tear it apart.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, this is awesome.
Thank you. I think our last presentation was 2001.
You did a great
Which was
job.
the first year.
Yeah.
It was after that, because I was on the board,
Okay.
and they had a robot that shot basketballs.
Okay.
Shot the balls, I don't know what year it was,
were
but
they yellow?
No,
huh?
no, that was a couple years after that, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, you're giving away secrets about yourself here. So, we're gonna probably head out. Is that the best way to go?
Yeah,
Right out that way. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Really good
Sorry,
job.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, looks heavy.
Awesome presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Strengthening rural families. I'm back.
You almost match.
Paul's gonna hand you some things.
Just for your reading pleasure.
Yeah.
And I need to open up the.
And I might just switch slides, because I'm worried that some of my slides might not show
Gotcha.
up the best.
Sure.
Thanks, Paul.
Actually, you could. Unless you want to see my left eye start twitching. Might be fun.
It's not a good side. So that's just, you don't need to read through all of it if you don't want to, it's more just so we didn't have to say all of that out loud for the sake of time. We wanted to make sure you had a copy of it. The first sheet there is just sort of history, and then the second sheet is all of our programming. And then the last sheet is more in depth on the programming and sort of specifically what community and what the attendance is and everything. So we'll reference that as we go. Oh, look at that. So yes, thanks for having us. I'm Christopher McMorrin. I am the board treasurer right now for Strengthening Rural Families and was previously a member of this esteemed body. And I'm joined here by Paul. You want to say hi?
Hi everyone. Hope you're having a good night. I'm Paul Smith. I'm the executive director at Strengthening Rural Families.
So, as is often the case with boards and staff, Paul actually knows the answers to your questions, and I'm here to look pretty. So we'll dive in. If you want to go to the next slide.
Christopher created attack.
So what is Strengthening Rural Families? This is sort of our, I don't know if this is our mission or what we call it, but working together to build stronger families and communities. What does that actually mean? We do a lot of different work with social determinants of health, as well as specifically early childhood focused programs, trying to really build a solid foundation for families in rural areas. And right now we serve mostly Benton and Lynn County, and then we do a little bit in Lincoln County and some other surrounding areas. And yeah, sure. And the reason that we're here tonight is mostly just because, as we'll discuss, we were actually kind of created out of the Philomath School District and other local school districts. So we are very intertwined with the Philomath School District, and we just, much like Fred, have not come and said hi to you all in a little while. So when I left this board and got onto this board, I thought it might be helpful to, because I learned a lot about like, wow, I had no idea. So I just thought it might be helpful to come just give a little refresher of all the ways that we kind of work together. So yeah, we go to the next slide. As a quick history, so in 2001, the Philomath Parenting Program was started. And it talks about that a little bit in your history document, but that was a partnership from the Philomath School District, Lynn Benton Community College, our local ESD, PYAC, some faith communities, the Ford Family Foundation, some of the usual suspects who wanted to really find some way to support parenting initiatives in our area. And then in 2003, PPP, the Philomath Parenting Program, wanted to do more than just parenting support, and so they kind of morphed into this rural parenting initiative and wanted to get outside of just Philomath. And so then when they morphed into RPI, they started serving folks in their village, sort of outside of just Philomath. We also started doing Monroe, Alpine, South Benton County, North Benton County, Kings Valley, and did a little more specific outreach to Latino communities. So you can see a trend here of starting with the very specific Philomath parenting and then growing into rural parenting. And then step 3 in 2005, there was a need to maybe institutionalize it a little more. So Strengthening Rural Families was founded as a 501c3 nonprofit. And again, just kind of trying to expand the mission behind that core tenet of trying to improve social determinants of health, early childhood, a really solid foundation for our rural communities. So you can read more about that here. And then now we serve over 1,000 people each year across dozens of programs, which, as I said, are located. There's a lot in Benton County, a good amount in Lynn County, and then we're working towards the coast. But that's sort of where we're at right now. So if we go to the next slide, we have more about specifically the program areas that we have. And if you want more information, that's on the blue sheet. As I said, early learning and early childhood is probably, if you look at our budget, that is our biggest line item. We have preschool programs here in Philomath, as well as in Santiam Canyon and Alcee, that we operate sort of usually on behalf of school districts. And then we do a lot more than that too. So you can see here, we also do parenting education classes and workshops. We do specific Latino outreach and support, positive youth development, oral health, we have these dental vans that we do in partnership with Samaritan and another organization that I don't remember. So hopefully they're not here. And then the Legacy Regional Initiative, this is more sort of something we help administer that goes to a lot of partner organizations. As you can see, that goes to help Paloma Community Services, PYAC, the Old Mill Center, but Strengthening Rural Families kind of, is the overseer of making sure all those funds get where they need to go. And then financial coaching and support, that's another big piece of social determinants of health, making sure that folks in rural communities have the tools and know how to really build solid financial foundations for their families. And then down on the bottom, last but not least, wellness, health, and prevention projects or support. And I think that's a really big piece, especially that prevention word, and Paul is always happy to talk more about that. But we always try to shoot upstream. I think an analogy I hear sometimes, and I'm sure you've heard it, right, is instead of putting the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, you want to put the fence at the top of the cliff. And that's really everything that Strengthening Rural Families is about. We want to get in as early as possible to prevent issues from coming out, to really make sure kids have solid foundations, make sure parents and families have the skills they need, the resources they need, so that things don't get out of hand down the road. So that's really what we're all about. Paul, anything to add on that? Or?
Yeah, just that prevention, it's not something we do particularly well necessarily, but
well, we're trying.
Really, we as rural families, we as a broader society tend not to, to invest in prevention in ways that see the kind of outcomes. That's certainly our bias. That really keeps people, from feeling those impacts in ways that are helpful. So,
yeah.
The other thing I would say is just that historically, baked into what we've done is collaboration. So everything, there's nothing we do that doesn't involve other partners, whether that's other nonprofits, the school districts, the county health departments, things like that. So a lot of other nonprofit partners as well.
The other just quick note I'll give, things you may be familiar with too is Strengthening Rural Families does sort of health fairs in rural communities. So the fire department open house is a partnership with Strengthening Rural Families, where we bring together a lot of health groups to kind of get the word out, make sure people are connected with resources. And then the other really important note is almost all of our programs are offered for free or incredibly low cost to the community members, and a lot of them we really want them to be accessible, so a lot of them will also provide food and childcare at the program so that parents can come to a parenting class and not have to worry about where their kid is, not have to worry about dinner that night. So we really are trying to make it as easy as possible for folks to participate. So we can go to the next slide. As I mentioned, over 1,000 folks served. It's broken down a little bit on the left. So 680 youth and children, 567, 392 adults, 680 youth and children from 567 different families, for a total of 1,072, and that was in, I think, the 2023-2024 year. And then we have community coordinators who are staff members that are located in Paloma, LC, Monroe, and Mill City. So those are kind of our biggest target populations right now, but that's fluid. And then anyone's welcome to come to our programs. For the most part, we'll get into that. There's some certain things, for example, our preschool programs that have a little more restrictions, but for our classes and workshops, you don't have to live in Benton County or in Lynn County or in Paloma or in LC to qualify for those. They're open door things. So if you see a program of ours that's happening out in LC and you want to go, we'd love to see you there. But yeah, we can go to the next slide. So then just a little more on the partnership between Strengthening Rural Families and the Paloma School District. The key tenets of it are kind of listed there. So Strengthening Rural Families provides the Next Steps preschool program for the district. And then we also have a lot of other programming that happens in the schools for Paloma School District students and parents, and we'll get into that in a second. And then we also do supplemental fundraising to help put on those programs and make sure they're able to happen. And then the Paloma School District provides facilities. Paul's office is in Clemens Primary School and has been for a while, although they sometimes move them around a little bit.
You're in this.
Oh, we'll see, perfect.
Executive director.
So yeah, our physical office has historically been located in the Paloma School District, and then obviously you also help provide monetary support for, specifically for Next Steps, and additionally some other programming. And then the big piece of it, which we'll get into a little more in a second, is then our Next Steps graduates are required to then go to the Paloma School District when they finish the program. So that's you know, the little trade-off piece there, I guess. But as I wrote down at the bottom there, I think the thing that I'm really trying to highlight, because I didn't even quite realize it, was just that the Strengthening Rural Families really was born out of a need that was articulated by the Paloma School District and other local education groups. And they saw a need that was broader than just this community, that was lots of different rural communities, and wanted to create a solution that was outside of sort of the specific school district box that could help address some of those issues. So we've always been a really key partner, I think. You've always been a really key partner for us, and I don't even know if partner is quite the right word. It's sort of joined at the hip a little bit, but to the point that we are literally located inside of you. But and we are looking forward to that continuing, I guess. So if you want to go to the next slide, we talk a little bit more about the specific programming that is located in the Paloma schools, just kind of by target population there. So for parenting education, we have a few classes for parents and workshops. So that includes Circle of Security, Active Parenting with Teens. If you have any questions about those, I can't answer them, and Paul can. And we split it up for early childhood. We do baby, toddler, and 3-year-old programs and classes, trying to develop some of those really early skills, motor control. We have things like Switchtivities, other programs that are supposed to set kids up with some of the core skills, and then Next Steps, which we mentioned. Elementary, middle, and high school all have one circle, which I'll let Paul talk about, and also Mindful Movement.
Again, that's a collaboration between us. The primary partners in providing one circle in the county right now are ourselves, the folks in the legal department, and staff from Jackson Street. So we're all partnering together to do groups around the county.
And what is one circle?
One Circle and Mindful Movement are actually self-regulation skills building groups. So they're really an opportunity for you to practice, internal regulation, but also communication skills, figure out how to be leaders, those kinds of things. Mindful Movement is much more built on, like somatic, being able to know how your body is working or not working for you in terms of, figuring out how to de-stress for classes or for tests or whatever the case might be. So it is just a couple of programs.
Yeah, and then we can go to the next slide. I want to talk specifically about Next Steps, just because that is arguably our biggest collaboration, and it's the one that this was all sort of formed around to some degree. But so for what it is, it's a part-time, again, free at the point of service preschool kindergarten readiness program. It started out serving 16 kids, and it now serves 32 kids. And that was created at the request of former Superintendent Dan Forbes and Clemens Principal Cindy Golston, who wanted to have that kind of, again, co-located there in Clemens, where once they're done with Next Steps, they basically just stay in Clemens and they go into first grade and, kindergarten and first grade. So that, again, really setting up a solid foundation. So they have the skills, the kids are ready for kindergarten, they have a lot of that self-regulation and know how to really be solid learners and students when they formally enter the district. So how, as I mentioned, created at the request of some of those folks, and it's put on, again, as Paul said, in partnership with the district and with the Early Learning Hub, and it is funded on the school district's part through your KPI funds and then through some general fund. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning too, Strengthening Rural Families backfills that a little bit as needed. And why kindergarten readiness and preschool programs are really key to having positive outcomes later down the road for students. We talk a lot about building that solid foundation, but it really does make a big difference. The earlier you can get in and make a difference in that kid's life, that will pay dividends far down the road in terms of academic achievement, behavioral regulation, graduation, everything like that. So on that note,
there's two through lines I think that are important. One is we know that early childhood generally lends itself to third grade reading, better third grade reading outcomes, which lend themselves to better sixth grade reading outcomes. Those three kind of checkpoints for children's development are actually pretty critical. I was just in a meeting with the juvenile department, and it really sticks out in current data that the juvenile department's clientele is highly overrepresented by kids who don't have a sixth grade reading. So those kind of things we know have kind of big impacts for just general outcomes for those. And then the one other thing I would say is the other place that's pretty key for early childhood in general is that we get eyes on kids earlier than kindergarten. So there's a chance to assess if there are other issues, like if there are learning differences or behavioral pieces, or sometimes it's identifying other kinds of resources that families can benefit from, and those opportunities to do that right earlier in the developmental stage rather than later in the developmental stage is almost always a good thing.
Try to comment. So both my boys, they're now in elementary school, went through this, but it's funny to see the first time parents, because we both our boys 2 years apart, a lot of people are in the next group. The first year, the parents all stay. They're not leaving their kids. Like then 2 years later, the next kids come along, and the first day, all the kids get dropped. There was like 9 kids, I think, in that first class, but every parent, like one of the parents stayed like the entire time. And the same, like 7 of those people had another kid 2 years later. The first time, parents were gone.
The tuck and roll method works really well.
So the next slide is again just kind of demonstrating a little bit of what Paul was talking about. So the column on the right, so this is for our first cohort of Next Steps students. So imagine there's one more column on the right of the right-hand column. That's when they were in Next Steps, and then every column to the left is as they progress through the Columbus School District. So kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Second grade is left out because something happened in 2020. And then third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. And so this is, I put this in here because I was really excited about this particular chart, which shows that of the students who went through Next Steps, all of them are at their grade level in fifth grade right now, or I think it was last year, but for reading level, this is what the chart here is showing. So again, it's that kind of thing of the investment and the time and effort and everything put into preschool is, it's helpful at the time as far as, getting kids to know their friends and getting them out of the house a little bit, but it's one of those things where you can't really see the full benefit and for several years down the road. But then we are really seeing it once you get down the road and seeing just how much of a positive impact it plays in the kids' lives, but also in the district, and having students who are really well equipped for the challenges they'll face. So we can go on to the next slide.
What's the yellow represent?
Yellow is like just below grade level, like kind of on the verge. So
yeah, the data coming out of the pandemic across the board is, definitely had an impact on kids. Like all the data I've seen, you would see people drop.
Well, just go 2020, 2021, you've got two of them, they're NA, I think. And then two in third grade, and then NA, and then.
Are those individual students?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, those are individual students.
Yeah, so each row is a student. So you can track, sorry, I know it's a little, so you can track from like the top row from when that student was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade.
So that's the same student in the top row?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So-
I had no idea what it was. It was like.
Yes, no, I apologize, I should have explained that a little better. So yes, each row is a student and each column is a year.
Okay.
So you can see that they consistently do have improvements in their at grade reading abilities.
And the caveat to that would be your kids that struggle anyway. You see that, right? If they're struggling with their reading in kindergarten, it's often an indicator of something else. So you'll see that through line follow through in the data. But the data post-pandemic across the board, like for reading and math, all those kinds of things.
And
students just really struggle in general.
In full transparency, I picked this one because has the most data and it's all green on the end. Not every cohort is all green on the end, but they are all showing positive outcomes and showing that they're developing and having the skills they need. So in the next slide, we were requested to increase our capacity from 16 to 32, partly because there was a waiting list and folks were really enthusiastic about the program. So we now serve 32 students a year, or is it per year?
32 is what we're able to, that's.
Yes, yeah,
Is that just here?
Yes, so yeah, that's just for Fulham Next Steps.
Do
I'll
you
see
have next
it.
steps anywhere else or only?
It's not called Next Steps. We have Preschool Promise in LC, and then we have Sandy Ann Canyon Preschool.
Early Childhood Center.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
So yeah,
it's much more, it's more similar to Next Steps. It's two different groups, except it's 4 days a week for them instead of 2 days a week.
Yeah, so yeah, all these numbers are specifically for Florida. And so just as a result of increasing that, there are some increased costs. And then the issues that we're running into are just KPI funds from the state have been really decreasing / are not reliable. Sometimes we'll get a weird windfall, and then sometimes we'll get no money, not no, but you know. And as you all know, that's sometimes difficult to budget with. And then in addition, general fund has been squeezed, so we're getting less from the school district than we have in the past. And so then we always do everything we can to secure grants and to try to backfill any decreases with foundation grants, with individual donors, everything like that. But again, not always the most reliable sources of funding. And so that's always our job. That's what Paul and Lori do, 24/7 is try to find those partners.
Hopefully not 24/7.
What? No. Try to find those partners to help fund. But I just wanted to give that. I was overly proud of my title for this slide. But thanks everyone. But I just wanted to give that to kind of give the outlook of it. The program is successful and is doing really well. And just candidly, I think we're getting a little stressed because it's on a really good roll, and we would hate for that to be shrunk down or to go away or something like that. So we don't know exactly what the solution is, but we want to just communicate with you and kind of make sure you're aware of sort of where we're at with everything. So I think that's our last real slide. Yeah. So we're happy to answer questions or take comments or anything, but thank you very much for letting us come chat.
Is there other organizations across the state that are doing the same thing that Strengthening Rural Families is?
Oh, not an exact, there's all of the Head Starts, so those are federally funded. That's where those dollars originate. There are other people in the space of the preschools, like the one we run in Alsea, because that's a specific state grant that funded it. It's called Preschool Promise. It has its pros and cons. That's a true preschool program, so it's for 3s, 4s, and 5s. Whereas our kindergarten readiness programs were specifically designed for the 4s and 5s that will be in kindergarten the next year in the district, if that makes sense. So it's a more focused population than a kind of classic preschool. we were recruited to do the preschool in Mill City because they couldn't find anyone else in the region to help them run that program. That was a stretch for us capacity wise, because Mill City, as you know, is not that close to one.
I worked there for 22 years.
Wow. Yeah. So, you know, we have great staff up there, we have a great community coordinator, and we have incredible support from Todd, who's the superintendent. You know, this out there, it's like this that we have here. It's just a lot of great support. Good.
The main reason I was asking, is there a way you can kind of get together with other groups like yourself and approach the state and try to get funding, more funding from the state? Because I mean, our funds
Oh, Rick, that's a battle I fight.
Well, I realize that, but, you know, our funds are, you know, K-12 is what we do. And we try to pass through some preschool stuff so that we can get the benefit of that. But we don't have a lot of extra money to, you know, fund extra things like this. We fund what we can, but we have to concentrate on the K-12.
So, yeah, I mean, Susan and I sit on our early learning, you know, governance committee, and that's probably our best avenue in some ways to those state funds, you know, but early learning actually didn't, like K-12 saw probably a 25% higher budget increase than early learning saw from the state this last year. KPI in general, as we were talking about earlier, that's just been a shrinking dollar amount over time. That's where I've tried to apply more discussion with the state without trying to allow for other, they've kind of gone down the way of it's either Preschool Promise, which is a very specific program, or kind of nothing else. So there needs to be a way, because they keep talking about having mixed delivery, other options for families to do the kinds of things we're doing in Next Steps are doing up in San Diego.
What's the connection? I just see LVCC on here. I know we had to sign up through LVCC. How's the connection of Strengthening the Rural Family and LVCC?
So the specific connection is that the Parenting Education Collaborative is housed at LVCC. So the instructors for class series, particularly for like more traditional parenting education class series, but also for their parent-child together programs, some of that staff comes out of LVCC. So we're using their staff from this program.
So do you still sign up for Next Steps through LVCC?
No, you sign up through Next Steps with us. LVCC is just for some of the other parenting programs we offer.
Did you used to sign up your kids through LVCC? I thought you signed
If you did, if you were here in the time when the preschool co-op was here, then you would have signed. Or if you did Live and Learn Toddler or Baby or any of those programs.
LVCC.
Yeah. Then you would have signed up through LVCC or both us and LVCC. And then the 3 programs, we just home cooked that based on actually a request in this community, particularly post-pandemic. We just saw a whole group of kids that, you know, just needed socialization and opportunity for parents to do that. So.
I have a question, a couple. On that graph that showed from early learning out to 5th grade, do you guys follow those students, or how is that data accumulated? How are you able to track that?
The school district tracks
that for you and then gives you back.
Yeah, and then we do other things in other districts. So there used to be a kindergarten readiness assessment, which was not a perfect measure, but it was a trend.
It was something.
Yeah. And then in other preschool programs we run over time, we've done other additional, like, or the school district that we're partnered with has done other additional testing. It's not.
It seems to me that the kids that go through the early learning, actually it helps the kindergarten teachers be able to get to it. It kind of brings everybody up a little bit more at an even level, and I see it as a huge benefit. Because once they hit kindergarten, they're coming from all different directions. So the other thing I want to say is I love Strengthening the Rural Force. I love what you guys do. I believe in what you do, and I see what you do makes a huge difference to kids, and I thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Is Head Start federal only?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's start all those dollars.
and they also have weird things. The last thing I'll say, speaking of money for strengthening rural families, on July 26th in the evening, we'll be having our annual fundraiser out at Lumos Wines. I don't know when it exactly starts.
We don't know exactly when it starts yet.
Evening-ish.
Determined. Usually about 5:30.
But it's always a great time.
Good music.
Yeah,
Beautiful location.
food, wine, the whole situation. So we'd love to see you there.
And how do you raise money through that event?
It's free to show up, but every bottle of wine you buy or usually food purchase is sold at cost, and then any of the profit goes to strengthening.
PK and I are very generous with this.
And you get tipped,
Yeah.
very generous
Yeah.
as well. All the tips go
What's the
to-
date on that again?
July 26th.
People are very good to us. The musicians have always given us their tip jar too, which is.
Oh, nice. Is that your only, is that the big annual fundraiser?
That's our biggest annual fundraiser.
Okay.
The honest truth is we're almost all, like we're over 90%. So,
I've been getting on us about trying to do more fundraisers, but one step at a time.
yeah.
I've done it.
Don't need to,
There we go.
don't need to get an endowment.
We have
So easy.
we have an endowment.
Yeah.
It's just
We have an endowment, but the amount of money it's been lost in the
Yeah.
current market is not enough to fund much.
if we buy a few rings of paper.
A board appreciation, board appreciation.
Yeah.
Well, while you were speaking, I
Appetizer.
was making lists of things to send you, so I'll email
Okay.
you some ideas. Non-school board solution options, so.
Well, we're going to have conversations with the early learning hub about possibilities for some additional funding that may help us out in the upcoming year. And we'll see what happens.
For preschools to go for this coming year, right?
ESC funding of ERC.
For this year,
For this coming year?
we're sorting it out right now.
That's part of what we're stressed about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've even had
We
people
can't
ask me-
sustain it at the same level we did this current year. We know that, but we do know that there's API funds and some grant funds. We haven't turned it over all, we're just starting to get some notification for some of what we're doing. But it's a really tough funding environment right now. So Oregon Community Foundation, a typical cycle gets like 240 or 250 requests. This year, they got 650 requests for the same year. So it's just like, it's tough sledding right now, and the funding environment.
You probably know this answer, the cost per kid versus a kindergarten. Like, you have an idea what it costs per kid to go through the program. Your programs are free, is there such thing, could you charge for it per kid and then have people apply that can't afford it or something? That way you can keep it, because I know a lot of people that did it would have paid to do it for their kids, the ones that could afford to, so there's.
So the costs, the average cost of a pre-K program in Benton County right now, these are 2020 numbers, like for what equates to a fullish time program, but more like what we do up in Alsea, is about, at that time was like $14,500
Per kid.
per kid.
Wow.
So next steps would be less than that, but
Well,
it's not full time.
Correct.
But
The issue partly because we used to have a sliding scale at Alsea before we had the preschool browsing grant, is that the administrative costs to collect tuition and chase down billing and the ill will that happens around those issues is high, is what I would say.
That's
And-
a long run.
And then the other piece is we just took, again, this is our organization's bias, is our intention is to be lower in the barrier for people.
That goes against kind of what you're
Yeah,
I think we would
standing for,
have
right?
difficulty with our board in trying to get that.
Yeah.
No, I just think the program going, if you run out of funding.
Right.
Voluntarily slash
Yeah.
highly suggested or something.
That's true.
Because if the choice is no program or access to money for the program.
So do you guys do a kind of like, through the mail soliciting that,
Yeah, we're doing
especially the
annual.
parents of the kids that use it?
Yeah, we actually do.
But yeah, okay.
All the old best
Actually,
stuff.
I think that's how I got it, was through the mail.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got those like.
We'll add you all to the list.
Sure. Add me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, great presentation.
Thank you so much.
If other questions come up, feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Joey, you're up. Facilities report. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, y'all.
You too.
I'll find it.
Okay.
I'm getting there. I had it open, and then
Well, I'm Joey Giovangelo. I'm the facilities director for the district, and I'm here to talk to you about facilities. So,
You might still be sharing it in the online, but you can make sure it's not through.
Can you go without that?
I can start, I mean, I can talk about it, and then we'll just jump through the slides. That works for me. So, first thing I want to do is, I have a couple slides with some pictures on them, and we'll talk about those, but, so it's just some good projects that we did that were pretty cool. So we, replaced all the, light fixtures in the gym at the high school with new LED fixtures. And the old ones, we had 74 fixtures that were running at 192 watts per fixture. That's just in the main gym. And we replaced those with 42 fixtures running at 180 watts. So pretty good savings. And then in the auxiliary gym, we had 40 fixtures, the same as the main gym there, and we replaced it with 20. And the light's better, it's less busy up on the ceiling. It was crazy when I first walked in there after they did it, it looked empty. Because you were used to seeing just rows of lights. But it's been great. The lights have a lot of cool features too, like you can dim them from your phone and stuff. I don't know if you guys do that or not, but we have the ability to do that.
You change colors?
I don't think, we didn't do that part. That was considerably more expensive. So the next thing was the football field lights, which we did last summer. And we replaced 72 fixtures. There were 1,500 watt halogens, and we changed them out with 72 fixtures, but for 600 watt LEDs. And those things are cool. I can literally pull my phone out right now and turn them on and off. And I could go to each light and turn it on and off. We didn't spring for the program to make them flash and stuff for touchdowns. But all these projects were funded through Senate Bill 1149. So we had to front the money, and then we got reimbursed fully. So we didn't actually pay anything for this stuff.
So what, have you kind of figured out what the savings are to the district by just these light?
Well, we're basically cutting the usage in half, or more than half. So the problem is we're not seeing a lot of dollars being saved.
Well, because the rates are going up.
The rates are going up so much.
But you're cutting the usage, so
Yeah.
it at least holds it kind of.
Yeah, when I was looking through our bills, I was like, well, our usage is way down, but we're paying more money. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just is what it is, I guess. But I guess it would be worse if we weren't doing these things. Go to the next one. So yeah, that's the after. It's super bright. I don't know if you guys have been to a game yet, but it's pretty nice.
It's even at my house.
The lights are actually really focused too, so they're really directed on the field, and it's not like just washing light all over the place like the old ones were. The old ones lit up half the parking lot. These ones don't do that. I should have put it on 2 different slides, but it's before you can see how many fixtures are in there. And the other one, it's so much better.
I imagine there's a lot of time spent by you not having to replace bulbs.
Tons of time. I mean, it's amazing. I haven't messed with any of those fixtures.
That also brings us into compliance with the new law, right, with the fluorescent light
Right,
ban.
right.
So, like, that just moves us a little closer.
Yeah, and actually, so you can go to the next slide. So this was just a cool project that we did. That's the Plymouth Academy. That's their main office area over here. We did all this work in-house. That was fun. I think the only thing we subbed out was the electrical and sheetrock. But the rest of it, we did with the maintenance department, so that was a pretty cool project. What's next? So this is just kind of our process and what we think about when we're, budgeting. So it's always safety first, right? Impact on student learning, and then our budget. So one thing I want to talk about quick while we're talking about lighting. We purchased over 9,000 LED tubes. We got them for 50 cents a piece, and then we got reimbursed for that. So we actually didn't pay anything. And we're in the process right now of installing those throughout the whole district. We have elementary done, Clemens is done, middle school is half done, and then the high school, we have to get in all the classrooms. So that's our push this summer, is to get those installed, and then we will not have any more fluorescent tubes.
We were able to get the ones that just fit into the existing fixtures without having to
Yep.
change out all the fixtures. Oh, that's fantastic.
We have to cut all the wiring out, but it's way easier.
Are these fluorescent or are these LED right now?
These ones are still fluorescent.
Still fluorescent, okay.
I think the other room has been changed in parts of the district office.
You just rip the ballast out.
Yeah, cut the ballast out and direct wire, and super easy.
Fantastic.
And then we recycle all the ballast and get paid back for those. So we've taken a full dump trailer full of ballast. I mean, you don't get a lot, like $400, but there's nothing.
$400 you didn't have before you took it out.
Well, and you'll be ahead of schedule then if you're that far ahead. That's super impressive to me because I know the process is not much work that is to do that.
It's actually not bad. I mean, we can jump in a classroom with a couple guys and get it done in an hour. If we're going fast.
An hour per classroom. Just accept the kudos.
Yeah. Okay, keep going then. Yeah.
Excellent.
So this is kind of our list of things we have coming up. Most of these will be things we work on this summer. The sidewalk replacement and repair stuff, that's just an ongoing, as we find things, we take care of them. Out here, we've got a major ADA issue. We know it's there, we just need to address it, but that one's going to be substantially expensive. Probably $25,000 project. So, signage for district property. So we've been talking about this a little bit, adding some new signs for like the district office and the Plymouth Academy, and then also the elementary school, just to help direct people. We've noticed that our signage is not very good. People always knock on the wrong door and go, "Where am I? I'm looking for the academy." "Oh, you're at the district office, or you're at the elementary school."
So you're talking about signs that are actually on the buildings?
Yep, well, we're gonna put them out in the lawns.
Okay.
So we'll build like a wood frame and then have a metal sign. Blodgett, I'm looking to have ductless heating systems installed in the gym and the kitchen. Currently, we have like shop heaters out there that are electric and they don't shut off. I mean, they do, but not winter. So.
I have a question about that, Joey. Do you mind me interrupting to ask questions?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I see the price is $25K for the ductless. Would like an HVAC system be prohibitive or not applicable to that?
Well, so an HVAC, a full system with ducts and everything is gonna be more because they've gotta build all that, it's gotta be hung inside. A ductless is like a 1-day install, you pay for the equipment and 2 guys to put it in for the day. The reason that one's expensive is because it's gonna have multiple heads. So it'll be a big system.
I got it last week for 25.
I don't remember off the top of my head, when we did these ones, I think it was like 14,000, 14,000 per room.
Right.
But they've been good.
Okay, just curious.
Clemens, we have the play cover getting started actually tomorrow. They're gonna put fencing up tomorrow. And then we have a new climbing wall that's gonna get installed out there too. So that'll be cool for the kids. We have that, we're just gonna hire a contractor to install it. Just liability wise, we're better off that way. Parking lot repairs, that's just one of those things we just whittle on, you know. As you find pieces that are falling apart, you take care of them, you know. Carpet in the classrooms, so that's the elementary school. When they first remodeled that, everything was tile, and the teachers were like losing their minds because it was so loud in there. Like, it was awful. We got carpet donated from HP, put carpet as much as we could put it down in each room. But it's old. I mean, it was used, right? I don't know how long HP had it, but several years, I'm sure.
Sure.
And so we're whittling away and just doing 4 classrooms each summer. It's easy for us. We can just dump everything in the hallway, get it installed, and move on. So, but the teachers are sure appreciate it. And I'm sure the students do. We go to the next one. So the middle school, so we've been working on the modular buildings. We re-sided them and we're getting ready to build new decks. So we're gonna paint the buildings first. That's actually on our schedule for next week. And then we'll start building new decks and ramps. There's only one of them being utilized for classroom space, but the other one is full of all of our district storage, like furniture and things like that. So we had to do something. Interior painting of the library and surrounding hallways. That's been on Steve's wish list for, I don't know, a long time. We talk about it almost every May. He's like, "You gonna do that this summer?" So we're gonna try. We'll see. The high school, they've got a long list of things that need to be done. So security upgrades, they did a lockdown drill a couple weeks ago, and there's just some things that came up that we're looking into right now to just increase security. So we're looking at connecting the security panic buttons to our door magnets. They close down the hallways. So if we can do that and just all the doors drop, then it's just an added layer of protection. When I talked to our security guy, he said it's really no big deal, so they're gonna get us a real price. That's an estimate that he gave me. He goes less than $5,000. So we'll see. The other thing we found out is we knew this for a while actually, is the forestry fire alarm and security alarm are not connected to the high school. So if the high school has an alarm go off, forestry doesn't know, and vice versa. That's an operational issue. I mean, I'm sure that you guys don't like that. It's really dangerous, honestly. Safety issue. Major safety issue. So whatever we gotta do to make that happen this summer, that's like top priority for us. Restroom floors in the high school. I don't know if you guys have been in the restrooms by the gym and classrooms. The tile has popped up 4 or 5 different times. We've replaced it a couple times, but the building moves so much that the tiles pop. And once they start popping, they just keep going. So like the first time that we replaced it right after the building was built, I went in there and I grabbed the tile and I went like that, shook it like a rug, and half the floor came up.
No.
So, I mean, this summer we'll just get it fixed and remove the trip hazard, but ultimately I'd like to have it all pulled out and polish the concrete so that we don't have as much work in there. It'd be easier to clean. I'd like to polish concrete in all of our hallways, everywhere, because we spend a lot of time on floors in the summer.
I was looking to make a stainless steel bathroom with a steam cleaner button, so like.
Yeah, right.
Have those drops cover toilet paper, hit the steam, goes to the, all red stuff should be that way.
Yeah. We started the planning and engineering, for the gravel lot. We just got a new contract with MSS Engineering this week. So they're gonna start the surveying and we'll see how big we can make that thing. Cause it's definitely needed, there's not very good parking at the high school. The last couple things there are the stairs for the baseball grandstands. Those have been on the list for 15 years. That was the very first thing that I did when I started working here, is I built like a makeshift ladder for the people to come out of the press box. And we're long overdue. We need to get some real stairs in there. So the price is high because we're looking to get steel stairs put in. So that we don't have as much maintenance. It's high cost right now, but they should last 30+ years and not have an issue. And then the same thing on the back of the football grandstands. I built those stairs 10 or 12 years ago, and they need to be replaced. I mean, they're still good, but pressure treated lumber out in direct sun is not good. Does not last very long. And we have to reside that building anyways on the backside. So once we're doing that, tear everything off, start over, put steel staircase up, and be done.
So with that in mind, would that be the right time to also look at whether we have some ADA issues in the football stand? Because I remember last year at graduation, somebody had to help somebody get to a seat because there wasn't enough ADA seating. Like somebody was kind of carried a little bit. Or we just need to be very clear, maybe with some new signage.
So that
please
was-
don't sit here unless you need to sit here.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have that whole front area that's for wheelchairs, and there used to be chairs out there. I don't know if they probably put them up. I think we put them up for graduation. That whole area is ADA right now, like the ramp and all the concrete. The limited seating, I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure what's actually required, because it's X amount of seats for however many people you have in the stands. But I'm not sure.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I have no idea what that
It's
number is.
obviously a very busy event too, there are lots of people and
It is.
we, overflow a little, so that may have been the issue, I just remember seeing that from the stage.
Yeah, I think we
Awkwardly looking out and
we
everyone.
could do things like, roping off the whole front for handicap, and then once everyone's seated, if there's some open spots,
Or maybe an usher who direct people like.
Yeah.
That may have been the sole issue actually, if somebody didn't know where to go.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So the big thing for us, we've always talked about long-range planning, and I've put together several different plans over the years, but we've never quite had the funding to follow them. So we would do as much as we could with what was budgeted, but there was, we were hundreds of thousands of dollars short on just things we know we need to be budgeting for, right? So the idea here is, in the end of June, after school's out, we're gonna meet with district leadership administrators and have a visioning, brainstorming session, and it'll probably be like a half a day meeting. Sorry. But just to put all the ideas out there, right? Just what are you thinking for outside facilities? What are we thinking, field turf? Are we thinking underground sprinklers? Like, what direction are we going? And really lay that out there. And then, we'll meet every other month and just kind of pare things down. And then we'll pull the school board in, have a good work session. Probably same thing, half a day, really go through everything. And then create a rough draft outline by December. These are really aggressive timelines in my opinion, but we'll see. I'd like to be able to do this. I think with everyone's help, we should be able to. So then by April next year, we'll begin the budgeting process and implement the plan for the next 5 to 10 years. Get us to a point where, what are we looking at as far as bonding, what are we looking at as, you know, what do we need to add to the buildings, where are we too tight, you know, those things.
And Susan, as we're looking at strategic planning too.
This is all part of it.
Joey's plan needs to be part of that for the budget and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if we do hire a group or company to help with strategic planning, that might take some work off of Billy or help with, because they would.
Yeah, it'll all be woven together, yeah.
What is the state doing? They're gonna come out and do facilities assessments, right?
They're doing assessments,
That's it?
that's it.
Okay. I didn't read much into it, yeah. Any questions?
Tell us all the things we need to do.
I don't know, Joey, but in April of 25, to me, that'd be kind of late for the budget thing. I think that needs to be worked on before, you know.
So that's a Jennifer thing. She'll work on it before that, but then, you know, officially, when do you guys adopt the budget? It's usually April.
In May.
Or second week of
Okay.
May.
Yeah, it's usually in May that we have our budget meeting.
That's what the budget meeting.
Then the board approves it in the June meeting, so. But what I'm saying is to get your ideas and money on the list. April's kind of late.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure you're well aware of that.
Yeah.
But I just want to throw that out there, that if you wait till April, I think you're gonna miss the boat with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I put those dates out there as just kind of an outline. And
Yeah. No,
to get us started, like, you know, Susan and I were meeting and we said, let's get everyone together.
Yeah.
And just start it on the whiteboard and have all the craziest ideas ever and then pare it back, you know.
The rest of it looked pretty good, you know, it's aggressive, yeah, but it's gotta be aggressive if we're gonna do anything with it.
I think so too.
The thing that stood out to me was waiting until April for the budget. You
But
know.
I'm assuming Jennifer's gonna be involved in a lot of these meetings as well, so she'll have an idea at least of what to put in there, even if it's not a perfect, solid,
Right.
exact number, it's a little bit later.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, I'm just gonna look for grants.
Okay, perfect.
You won't argue with those, no?
You'll get emails from me, like Christopher gets text messages from me, and Max Tibby gets calls from me.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you, Joey, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for all that work.
Or you can leave if you want to, you don't have to stay.
Oh, hang on for a little bit.
End of school year updates, I'm assuming that would be your,
Yes,
if you can find it, huh?
well, everything starts to,
Blend together. Organized before the meeting.
I did, and
Then everything's moving.
then I tried to show the robotics one and everything kind of fell apart.
Just, you know, I'm gonna have to out at 8:50 to go move the equipment for you guys.
No, you're stuck here.
You showed up here, you're stuck here.
You can be
Do we want to skip to the association reports while you're doing that, or are you agree?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here, okay.
So we had talked about our administrative team putting together just some things to be able to line out what do things look like through the rest of the school year and what's happening in our schools. Since school will be out, it's kind of unique. So wanted to be able to put these things together to be able to give some,
Thanks,
see you later, some heads up and thank you to Mark and to Eric for being here. And there's some other folks that have some other commitments, and so I get to be a voice of a few. So so we'll just get going here. So we'll start off with the Philomath Academy, and thanks to Beth Edmund for helping me put this together. They have written grants to be able to embark on a couple of field trips with their students. The first one is May 23rd, that is to the Corvallis Knights for their Science, Engineering, and Art Day. to be able to take benefit of the activities that are scheduled to happen there. And then on May 30th, they're going out to the Quinn Head Tide Pools and a couple of other places. And it's just a nice opportunity to be able to put some things together that actually provide some field trips for our students. And so that's pretty exciting. I also asked Beth to take a look at giving me some information about student count. So current student count's at 115. At K-8, there are 20. But at 9 through 12, there are 80. And dual enrolled from the high school and middle school are 15. So it was just, where are we at this point in time right now in terms of student enrollment? The anticipated number of graduates is 20. The anticipated GED completers are 9. I listed some of them in my superintendent's report that I'll share who have already completed, but their names will also be listed in the graduation program. So June 7th is the senior parade of graduates, and that will consist of students from Philomath High School and from the Philomath Academy. So students from both schools will be a part of that walk. And then on June 12th is the Academy graduation at 7 o'clock. And hoping that the weather stays beautiful, it will be on this west lawn right out here outside the district office. And then summer school for credit recovery for 9th through 12th graders for the district is going to happen June 17th through 27th. So right after school is out, for those seniors needing, or excuse me, those high schoolers needing to participate in credit recovery, striking while the iron is hot, to be able to see what we can get. So great staffing, great program, and they're the ones that have made it happen, certainly not me in the role of their sort of principal. It's been a good year for the Philomath Academy. So Abby couldn't be with us tonight. She wanted to share with Clemens Primary School that they did have their special person day, and 140 out of 175 adults attended, so that's a pretty high percentage of students who asked to have a special person attend with them. And that can be anybody. And the book fair that was recently held at Clemens grossed over $3,500, and it was kind of in tandem with this same stuff. And the special person day, you could stay for lunch if you wanted to, and there were over 50 additional adult lunches of people who chose to stay on that day. So pretty exciting event. Kindergarten registration was a Zoom orientation and also an open house. And right now there are 58 students currently enrolled. All the slots that we've opened up for inter-district transfers at kindergarten are full. And so we'll be revisiting that to be able to see if we want to grow it or not, but we're watching our own enrollment. And Abby's been pretty good about, normally by X point of the year, I've got this many. And so that gives her a sense of what we're looking at. So she's keeping really good tabs on that. And then Summer Lit Camp is a product of our early literacy grant funds. And it will be for incoming kindergarten through 3rd grade students. So Abby and Eric will be intimately involved. It'll be hosted at CPS. We've talked about going back and forth, but figured it might be nice to have it in the same space. The limit is to 20 to 25 students per grade level. And the positions are currently posted, and students are currently enrolling, and some with a gentle nudge to say, we'd love you to be able to participate in this excellent experience we've got for the summer. So it will run the last week of July, 1st week of August combined for a 4-week period. So Clemens is also staying pretty busy. So then I'm going to let Eric talk about Blodgett at Philomath Elementary.
Yeah, some similar themes. You know, we had a chance to open up in the afternoon. Kinder wasn't quite as big. I think we had 5 or 6 families come. We had somebody show up at like 7 o'clock. We stayed late that night, and it was just they really appreciate the chance to come out. Today, we had the fourth graders come to Philomath Elementary. It was really fun to have them come in. They joined music and PE classes. After that, they got to go swimming. And I just wanted to give a shout out to, is it Eugenia?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the team over there, Logic kiddos have been able to come in and do 4 different swimming lessons. And so I know there's been some capacity limitations with all the elementary, but they were able to sort of lodge it that way. And that's really great whenever those friends get to come into town and experience that. This Saturday night, I like Rick's name, the Dinah Dip, but I think now that when Rick said that, but the Taco Bar dinner is a scholarship fundraiser and auction. Doors open at 5:30. When I was out at Lodge this week, Ryan was out getting the place spruced up. You'll see some of our new outdoor tables out there. We did so well with our Jogathon that we were able to fund a new, bigger sound system for PES. And so the existing sound system, which was very good, just much smaller, is out there at Blodgett now, and we'll live out there. It's got Bluetooth access in they can use for PE. And so if you come out when Rick is doing his auction work, there's not gonna be cutting out like last year. We're gonna be good. So yeah, moving forward, we should prove it. They're going up to Alms on the 21st, lots of different field trips. They come in for the bike rodeo, and that's a great partnership, just like Strengthening Rural Families was talking about partnerships. So many of the things we do that involves Philomath law enforcement come over and some of these things I'm telling you like as if I know what they are. I'm new, so I'm excited to bike rodeo. And then, yeah, so it sounds awesome. I've heard a little bit about it. I'll be there.
It is awesome.
I love biking, so it'll be great. And then field day out there. We also have, speaking of partnerships with Chris Singer, we got Steam Night, and then that's also, we do our 4th grade promotion, celebration. When Squishtivities was shared, I know they've been out there strengthening rural families and doing events and different opportunities. And then last day of school is Dismiss 11, and then we invite people to come into the PTO sponsored party in the park. And again, all of the players, from activity and different people, they work through to secure the city park for that again. And that's kind of the things happening at Blodgett. I'll try to go quicker through this. We've got some vision to get some commercial grade barrier on the upper section of the courtyard. So we're doing a little work party there this weekend, kind of clean that up and keep moving forward with our garden vision. We got the band and choir concert on the 28th at 7 p.m. Bike safety and the second grade concert and third. We do 2 grade levels per night on June 3rd. So you come out and see the kids. Mr. Don Meeker's been singing like crazy with the kids. It's fun to walk by the music room and hear them. So you get to hear our new sound system, which includes monitors, so the kids can hear themselves. That was the big upgrade in that. So I'm excited for that.
We're gonna have some
right?
Beyonce.
So good. Yeah. Field day. We've sent out an invitation to get more parents involved. Jake's got a new idea this year to kind of do zones where kids can kind of free flow between zones. So it's not just you're at each station one by one, but you can free flow within different areas and then we rotate. So I like that we're coming up with some new ideas there. But field day is always a real big popular thing. We're gonna have like an inflatable thing to race through. I hear there's gonna be maybe a dunk tank. And for kids that meet the attendance goal, they get to slime me, so it's gonna be quite a day. I can't wait. Yeah, and then just cruises right into spring concerts. I'll just be living at the school for these next couple weeks, which is great. It's awesome. VHS grad walk, those are really special. I mean, it's special for the kids to come back and walk through, but it's also really good for the kids at elementary to see that. And if you notice in these slides, we don't use the word graduation, we use the word promotion because graduation should be something that kids really see when they get through high school. That's kind of how we like to phrase that. And then, slideshow, even in that last assembly, I think we auction off, or we do some drawings for some bikes that through the law enforcement. We have a yearbook, signings, and dismissal. So just a lot of things happening in the life of our school. The thing that this doesn't capture they're one of the kids, or one of the classes, Rutledge's class went fishing today, and they came back and they said, we've caught 93 fish. And we got kids going to Hatfield Marine Science Center. And we've got, I mean, all of these things that there's no way I could list all of the cool things that are happening, while trying to also keep just some also continuity of kind of some normal things too. A lot of kids really depend on that rhythm, so there's a lot of special things happening, but yeah, it was nice to be able to, even for me, when Susan asked us to put this on a slide and, you know, go through our staff meeting, there's a lot of things, especially for me being a new principal, how I can support all these great events, and with that, I'll turn it over to Scott. So, it's back to you.
Yeah, I get to be Steve too.
There you go. Did you guys have any questions for Blodgett or PS? You're good? You guys are always welcome to come to be part of anything, so.
Good luck at the bike rodeo.
Yeah.
It is fun.
It's not chaotic, it's easy, it's fun.
I survived, it's great. The third graders the day after on the Wednesday, so it goes bike safety, bike rodeo, and then they go on a bike field trip down to Avery Park and come back. So again, which is
4 kids who've done that.
so cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yep, it's all
We got
good.
an air horn for his bike that has a pump handle. Like an air horn for the bike. For the
Here we go. So the middle school just completed their outdoor school, which had some high schoolers that also go as counselors, and you know, it's just a great experience, and the middle school has done more and more to be able to accommodate every student. And so they have students that will go up for just the day, who cannot stay the night, but there were years when it was kind of like, if you can't go up and spend the night, too bad, so sad, you don't get to go. And so it is just really nice to be able to have the level of involvement that is there. For the 7th graders, they continue to do the Hero Challenge, which is working on the ropes course at OSU. And it's always been a great confidence builder and a wonderful activity for our 7th graders to participate in. The 8th graders, May 10th and May 17th, which is tomorrow, May 17th, have been going to universities. So they've gone to OSU, U of O, and they also did the automotive and nursing programs at LBCC. The idea is to really take a look at what are some things that are out there as you step forward into interest and as you step forward into high school. And so it's turned out to be a great opportunity for students. The band and choir concert was last night. On May 30th is the 5th to 6th grade parent orientation, and their 8th grade celebration is June 13th to be able to honor their students at that point. So middle school is rolling too. Then they get to the high school.
Hi.
Hi, Mark. So we just, as Reagan said, we just finished AP testing yesterday with our last test. So we had 5 AP classes, 5 AP exams, 71 students participated in those tests. A lot of district sporting events, so tennis teams are at districts today, tomorrow. We did our state send-off for our track teams, which participate at state tomorrow and Saturday. 9th grade triage day, this is something new that we are stealing from the Center for High School Success, and is to help get all of our 9th graders on track. And so next Thursday, Monday, we will identify some at-risk 9th graders that are in danger of not being on track. And then the administration and the counselors, we will spend the day with those kids, pull them out of class and make sure we are focusing their efforts on specific missing work and tests and things to make sure that they're going to be on track once the end of the year is. As Reagan mentioned earlier, we have homegoing week coming up. Powder Tough, Luau, Field Day. It looks like there's some added games to Field Day this year. You know, the dunk tank's always fun, so if you want to come dunk me, you know, or come listen to me trash talk the kids as they try and dunk me. And then our National Honor Society induction is May 30th at 6 o'clock, and welcome to that. Then we really get busy. The PHS banquet which Steve Bell heads up with the banquet committee. They put on a nice spread, nice dinner, and a good recognition. Steve Bennett, sorry. Good recognition of all of our past greats. The spring concert is June 4th. Honors competition is June 5th. I would encourage you to come. And that's really our senior awards night. We'll be recognizing all of our department award winners, our honor cord recipients, valedictorians, and scholarships. The art extravaganza is the art classes big night. They'll have all their artwork in the 300 hall, and then they do their award ceremony for their art. So I would encourage you to come by and check out the art. We have some pretty amazing artists. June 7th, that's a big day. We've upgraded grads, but we start off in the morning with a faculty provided breakfast for the grads. We go through the parade of grads, grad rehearsal, and then the next day is graduation. We currently have about 104 graduates set to move on.
Is the graduation going to be essentially the same as last year in terms of the
graduation
process?
is essentially the same as last year. Started at 11. The only difference is we've added some tents over the graduates this year in case of rain, and we've added about 100 more chairs. Yeah. 100 more chairs out on the track. We have a bigger class this year too. Any questions?
No. Thank you. Looks like you're doing a great job.
Yeah, we just wanted to be able to give an update about all the things that are happening in the dead sprint to the end of the year.
Susan, can you send us or me the copies of all those slides?
Yeah, I will.
Activities.
I will.
Excuse me, one more thing. I will send the board an email with an official invite to graduation and the details of that, because you'll need to be there early. If you happen to have a robe, that's great. If not, we'll make sure you
So the new board members would probably need, if they're going to be there, would need robes. I think we don't really have.
You guys have.
I thought maybe you were gonna tell us we didn't have to wear
I
it.
think we have enough, but I'm not messing with that tradition.
No, but I think I still have my pants.
Most welcome. I think they also have.
They haven't changed in the last
And
25 years.
then hopefully someone will be there this year to help me put the hood thing on, because I never know how to put it on.
Yeah.
Someone there always helps me with my master, like, I don't know how to do it.
Association
but I won't.
reports. DEA, I did.
Man, I'm not used to reading this.
Long meeting.
Pretty sure you're only like halfway through our agenda too, so.
I'm halfway through your agenda. I'm halfway through my agenda. I'm all the way through my agenda. I'm still going to do my whole statement, so this is my swan song. So, good evening. We have made it to the May meeting. The finish line is in sight. Tonight's meeting marks the end of my personal tenure as PEA co-president. I'm happy to report that my compatriot, Nicole Stevie, will be continuing in her role for next year, leading our association's president, flanked by a full complement of excellent officers and representatives, of which I will be one as treasurer. We started the year with a new contract, new board members, new administrators, and any number of challenges that took many forms, demanding attention from the board, administration, and the association throughout the year. I want to thank the board members, district administrators, and my colleagues, especially Nicole, for their ongoing efforts to communicate, negotiate, and cooperate to move forward and address our challenges. Some of the items we were concerned about at the start of the year have been solved cooperatively, while others remain works in progress. New challenges are always arising as well, and I'm confident that the association will continue working to resolve issues in cooperation with administration and board. As we all move forward, I encourage all parties to continue to work together in an environment of good faith, transparency, and cooperation to make the district a safe, productive, and welcoming space to learn, work, and succeed. Thank you for the opportunity to speak throughout the year on behalf of my colleagues, and thank you for hearing what the association has to share. So, very much appreciated.
Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate it. You are much appreciated. for a little bit longer.
OSBA.
Hello.
Hi.
Tanya, VP of OSBA. We didn't have a lot to report. We just wanted to be here to say we are very thankful and happy that we have come to a tentative agreement on our CBA, and we wanted to thank everyone for putting all of their time and effort into it, and we hope that everybody will be satisfied.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
I'll see you Saturday. Eric. See you Saturday. Yes, yeah, can do that.
Just a couple of things I'll go through rather quickly. I put Rotary Salmon and Jazz in the report, and why would I talk about Rotary at a school board meeting? And it is about that partnership idea. And the other thing is that funds raised by the Philomath Rotary support our students. You know, that's huge. National Honor Society helped with setup. They got money for National Honor Society for doing that. The dance team got money for their program for helping the servers with dinner. The PHS Jazz Band got money for their after dinner dance music. We had during dinner music a trio of PHS students called Root Vegetables played some quite good jazz music for the dinner time. And then Patrick Kamens also came and played guitar for a short period of time during dinner. The Philomath Scouts assisted with the cleanup. They also received some monetary benefit. Lots of community businesses and individuals donated. And I just heard today that Rotary will be giving at the Honors Convocation 3 $1,000 scholarships to students who will graduate this year. And so it's just a nice touch to be able to have opportunities that support our students in such good ways. Rotary also recognizes our 8th graders from Philomath Middle School as Students of the Month. They are the keepers of that, like the Chamber of Commerce does for Philomath High School and Philomath Academy, which is great. I wanted to thank Rick and Sandy. We sat together with coffee with the board on Saturday morning at Timbertown. And while attendance was small, it's a great start, a great restart to be able to get some things moving forward. We had some good conversations, some good input. And we talked about, because of some conflicts, that we're not going to host during the summer, and we'll look to resume once school starts again in the fall. So classified bargaining is on our agenda tonight, and it's really, we've reached that tentative settlement. It's in our board packet for us to consider ratification tonight. OSEA has not ratified yet. They have a certain number of days in which they need to give notice and reach out to their folks. So it doesn't really matter the order we go in terms of approval. And thought that it would be nice if we could approve it on our end ahead of school getting out, so that there's just that level of knowledge and people being able to potentially leave their school year feeling like we know what's happening. But it's also the notion that should either party not approve the agreement, we're back into negotiations. So just needed to put that out there. I told you in my Philomath Academy report, we've already had, excuse me, 7 GED completers from the Philomath Academy. And I wanted to acknowledge, because the question was, how many are there? And these are students who have already finished and are walking on their way to a variety of different places. Some of them to community college, some of them to trade school, some of them to jobs. It's all over the board. So, yeah, they will have the opportunity to participate, and they will be recognized in the program with everybody else. Summer learning is kind of the repeat, the high school credit recovery we will have in the final 2 weeks of June. And that will be offered here at the Philomath Academy in the mornings. extended school year, which is offered for a requirement for special education students who qualify, will mirror the same time frame as the Lit Camp, primarily through August of 2024. So we're looking forward to those opportunities. In our English language development world, I wanted to really give a shout out to Lynn Kwai, because she's been doing a lion's share of state reporting, working with Michelle, working with me, to be able to get the things done that she needs. We've also added a number of EL students to our schools, and a number of them are newcomers. And we've got a group that speaks Spanish and a group that speaks Arabic. And so, I mean, they are coming with no language skill. And so it's really between Lynn and then Marina Castilla-Morser and Fabrice Hubert for assisting with their translation needs and really helping families to coordinate things. And our classroom teachers also integrate and work with our EL students to support them because they can't be in a home language program for their whole day. And it's finding the balance about what do you do and what do you not do in terms of it would be a killer to translate everything to be able to offer to a student. And sometimes it's what are the nuggets of learning that students can get from being present. And we're not ignoring, but they're getting supported socially in all those other kinds of ways as well. Nutrition services, we're still with Corvallis for this next year. And
see you next time.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have to run out with my crew. See you around.
We've got conversations going about what it looks like for 2 or 3 or 4 years out, just so that we can plan accordingly about where we need to move. With the cuts that have come down in the Corvallis School District, we have to wonder if it isn't just a matter of time until we get told, sorry, we can't do this anymore. Or it's going to cost you X amount more to be able to do it. And we just want to be prepared for whatever makes sense. But we're grateful to them for being able to continue the agreement from this current year into next year to give us another year to get on our feet. And then some special education updates. I've been working with LBL on state reporting and on end of year activities. They continue to be an awesome support to us. We've advertised for our student services director position. We have an all special education staff meeting scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. It'll be our last one of the year. And part of that is, and we're also making preparations, there will be a state review that takes place in the fall of 2024. And so we're doing preparations, but that will also be a part of our meeting with special education staff tomorrow. And then as you saw what I sent out in the dates to remember, there's just a few that put some things out there for events from all the schools, including Kings Valley, the graduations, the music concerts, the everything. And so that's all I have for you today.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are there any assistive technology tools that can be used to help the English language learners when they are enmeshed in perhaps curriculum that's a little bit more difficult to follow along?
Yeah, technology has been phenomenal, and Fabrice has been real helpful too. They've did some changing the languages on Chromebooks so that students could access in Arabic their information, or could access in Spanish their information. And so the translation component has become very much in need. Through Library Media, there's also been a purchase of some, I don't know what you call them, dictation pens. So it's almost like you run the pen across the text and it will read it to you. And right now it's reading it to you in English, but if that helps get some of the things cemented, it may help. But we constantly are looking for what are some of those things that we can use or get our hands on that will make a difference.
Just a quick reminder, we normally try to get out of here by 9. It's after already. We're making a lot of progress. We'll go on to the financial report.
And I'm Jennifer too.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a lot of hats tonight.
I see that.
Jennifer's first thing that she wanted to let you know was she wanted to say thank you to everybody who attended the budget committee meeting last week. Good questions and discussions about the proposed budget, and she and I are both very grateful that we were able to approve the proposed budget at this first meeting, very much unlike last year, and removing that second meeting commitment from our calendar, and we'll be ready to have the board review and adopt the budget when we meet in June. And all that work is appreciated. To be able to go through the questions we got were phenomenal. ODE completed the 2022-23 state school fund reconciliation. So our district received some adjustments. The state school fund for 22-23, we got close to $111,000. The downside of that then says that we get we got an initial payment for our 23-24 high cost disability at about $99,000, which is lower than we anticipated, and it continues to decline year to year. And the negative adjustment for 22-23 for high cost disability, about $17,000. So those funds continue to diminish. And we know that, and we're having to be prepared accordingly. She included the monthly enrollment packet, and then wanted to make sure that everybody knew that the April 2024 general fund expenditures totaled $2 million plus, and she listed the expenditures that are exceed $10,000. She wanted to note the April general fund expenditures as being higher than normal by about $370,000, and that is because of the approved transfers to the reserves that the board made, and so it's reflected in there. So we didn't actually spend an additional $370,000. We just moved the money to the places where the board had agreed to move it. But she wanted to make sure if anybody looked at general fund expenditures and said, what are we doing, that there was an answer to that. And then she told me that I could write down any questions you had, and she'd get back to me.
I'm good. I'm good.
She is so thorough.
She's so
She
good.
is fantastic.
She is so
job
good.
Preparing the budget, so.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to C, strategy and discussions, board self-evaluation.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways that we can approach that. The board had talked about working with the OSBA and being able to do the board self-evaluation. If that's what the board wants to do, Michelle and I would take on the connection with OSBA to make that happen. The other possibility would be to take a look at our existing our existing goals from what we've operated on this year for the board goals. But what I seem to have heard is, at least for our two new board members, it's kind of like we're just getting to know what those are. And so can we really evaluate on what those are?
Right.
So I want to make sure I will send those out so that you have them just to be able to look at what they were and know that part of it. We also, as an administrative group, and what Joey shared tonight, are getting closer to a schedule of the notions of strategic planning that will involve those things. And so the board self-evaluation goals, all that stuff all come into it. It's really about, if you'd like me to, like Michelle and I, to reach out to OSBA for the self-evaluation, we will do that.
Didn't Michelle say something about a self-evaluation handbook or something where she could email something to us or give us something where we can just sort of do it without actually involving OSBA officially?
Yes, she sent it to us.
Oh, I must have
That's a possibility.
I must not look at it.
I
Did you look
lean
at it?
heavily, even though there's a small cost associated with it, I lean heavily toward a guided self-assessment through OSBA, because I think that it would be very beneficial for the board to get some more official training on how to make that happen. And then maybe it's something we do in alternating years, where we bring the OSBA on, or every, whatever would be appropriate.
Sure.
But I do think it would be very beneficial to make sure we have a really solid process in place. that we use the same process with the same questions so that we can do sort of year-over-year evaluation and hopefully see steady improvement all the time, but also identify areas where we might have blind spots.
Okay. So it sounds like,
Sure,
you
yeah.
know, with,
It's about
with
what
the
we action
AA.
item
So
for
we'll get a
next.
hold of OSBA and get on.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.
Yep. D, student representative on the board.
Yes, and I mentioned earlier, and I failed to see that it was as the first item under there. There's a new policy that was sent out in regard to that, and I think it would be better for us to review and approve that policy and then bring it to the high school in the fall, high school and middle school, preferably, in the fall for them to nominate and go through that process. I know it moves us off schedule of where we want it to be, but I think it would be good for us to make sure we're doing it in the recommended way. And that's a brand new policy that they're putting out because so many boards across the state have started implementing student representatives. So we're actually ahead of the curve on that for the rest of the state. So now they're like, hey, we need to make sure you're doing this correctly. So if everyone's okay with that, that's my personal
Sure, I'd rather make
recommendation.
sure we're following policy properly.
Okay, that works. Moving right along, OSCA, CDA approval.
And I'll let Aaron and Joe as our representatives be able to chime in too. Sure. I feel real good about the negotiations and the back and forth and what was shared, what was talked about. We felt like there was nothing unreasonable in terms of either side in the conversations. You know that you're always going to get to a place where you have to, do the give and take thing. But felt like it was a good process for us to be able to work through and feel good that we were able to get to a place where we have a tentative agreement. So I don't know if you two want to add from your.
Oh, it was very, very cooperative. There were no bad feelings that I had ever sensed. There was back and forth. It's a typical negotiation, but it was very positive process, fairly quick because there wasn't a ton of language to change. As always, monetary issues are the primary sticking point usually. And we were able to come to an agreement that both sides were okay with, and it fell within our budgetary requirements or constraints. And so I'm real happy with the process, with what happened, that we were able to give cost of living benefits and some other benefits included in their contract, and I'm overall very happy with the process.
And one thing you may have noticed in the appendix where the salary schedule is column A was removed from the salary schedule. There were a couple of reasons for that. One of which being the state has changed how minimum wage is going to be factored in, and so now it happens on an annual basis where it is based on the competition of cost of living increases across the board, and then there's some math that happens, and they take the number and multiply it. So there were positions that were too close to minimum wage for many of our feeling of comfort. So by removing column A, we were able to shift all of those positions into a column where it will be affected by minimum wage changes. I think it was like 2 or 3 FTE total combined between some part-time positions that were affected, but hopefully that makes sense. We kept the column there just so that it didn't suddenly just become column B, C, and D, and E, and F, and I think that's the last column. Just so it made sense. So nobody's like, hey, why is there not a little column A or a little column B? So I thought that was a good improvement. We also added a step on the longevity scale that I think was a huge thing that made me really happy because we want to reward people who want to stay in the district. And so adding a step for people who've been in the district for more than 26 years, which to me it's astonishing that that's not 0 people who've been here that long. And so they'll receive a longevity stipend or bonus.
It's longevity.
Stipend, felt like the wrong word. An increased longevity stipend at that step in their career path. Yeah, it's great.
Rick,
I only, yeah, I was
Dave,
gonna say,
go
I
ahead.
only saw one thing in it, under salary, 12.2.1, the last paragraph is just a typo. Employees in column A for the 2023-2024, which.
Yeah, we pulled that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I already made the correction in the document, just from Rick and I talking here.
Yeah, so
that-
just-
But we need to know it.
Just a typo, that, and I didn't, I'll be the first to admit, I didn't read it word for word, I just kind of perused through it. That's something that just kind of jumped out there, but other than that, I would ask in the future, when we get, a contract like this, if we can highlight the changes, because for those that weren't involved in the negotiations and went through the changes, we have no idea what changed from last contract to this contract, we just see the current contract.
Yeah, we had that all set up, and my bad for taking them out of this.
Yeah, well, you know,
No, I hear it.
I've been through the process, and you have a lot of strikeouts through the whole thing, but just as a finished product, maybe just highlight the changes, kind of like we do with the board policies. Just highlight so that the board members who weren't involved in it can see what the changes were.
Absolutely.
That's the only suggestion that I might have. But that being said, I'll entertain a motion to accept this contract if that's what the board so chooses.
Well, I would like to move that we ratify the OSEA collective bargaining agreement as appears in our packet with the correction of the typo that's already been corrected in the final document, but that typo under 12.2.1.
And I would second that. Okay, been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay, motion passes 4-0 with one absent.
Thank you very much.
Yep. No problem. Thank you for
Thank
doing that and all the extra time and everything it takes to do that. Second reading of policies, I'll turn that over, I believe, to Aaron. You're on the policy committee.
Yes, and I brought all my notes, so if anybody has any questions about what's in the packet. There are some that are recommended delete because they are being replaced with entirely new policies. That's why you'll see them listed above and below in the agenda. A lot of legal requirements. Well, all of these in this packet are required changes based on new legislation. And in our policy committee, we meet, we go through, just to give a little background to the crowd, we get a copy that will have things that are in brackets. We decide which version applies to our district. We rely on the expertise of various people throughout the whole entire district. So if it's related to student health, we bring the nursing team in and different people. Actually, Susan does that. I don't do any of that. And then we go through, we answer any questions that might come up. We discuss as needed. And I was very impressed with how many we got through at this most recent meeting. I think we met for 2.5 hours,
maybe a little more.
Worked through. I'm very proud of our progress. We do still have required policies that we're going to need to look at that will hopefully.
Or highly suggested, highly recommended.
Lots of highly recommended, but still some that are required that we will bring for the board possibly next month, but it might be.
We have another policy
There are a lot of
committee.
things.
We have another policy committee meeting at the end of this month, so towards the end of this.
There we go, that'll be our June meeting. Good thing you remembered. I just
I think
trust my
it was-
calendar to tell me.
It's on my calendar, I think it's the 29th. No.
So if there-
28th, May 28th.
If anybody has any questions, we can go through one by one, or as we've done before in the past, sometimes we approve them all in one
With the
go.
exception of the pullout of EBB.
I'd just like to take a look at that
Yes, we can go through
EBB to be
this.
able to make sure that, there aren't any questions on that.
Do we wanna do it
Differs from
first
what's
then?
in your packet.
Do we want to look at
And-
it first then? Or we want to just?
That might be a good suggestion, is just to take a look at that one first. Just to be able to, because then if you wanted to approve them all together, you still could.
I found what I think is either a typo or I'm missing something on the backside. The second page, so the backside of our paper here. The very last sentence right before end of policy, it says such reports will be submitted to the superintendent board. Shouldn't it be superintendent and board or superintendent or board?
I think the suggestion was board, because that's the one that is.
It's supposed to say superintendent.
Oh.
Board crossed off.
Oh,
we
the
will
board
cross
isn't crossed off on this, so
Okay.
you want to cross off board? Okay.
So we'll keep superintendent and remove.
Gotcha.
Okay, trying to see what the differences are between.
Reagan. Can I get you to turn the light on?
Oh.
So the changes that OSBA sent over today are in the third paragraph.
Okay.
And they crossed out, in the first sentence, on the second line, other than first aid. So,
Okay.
that has a strike through now. And then there is a comma after avulsion. That was something else that they added.
Never thought you'd ever hear the word avulsion in the policy.
You wouldn't believe how many times I hear that word at work. Okay, well, those are simple changes between the two copies. It's just one straight through and adding a comma. That's a relief.
My question in the footnotes, how can you have an amputation and not have bone loss?
Go figure.
The very tip of your finger is still considered an amputation.
But wouldn't that be an avulsion then, or what's it? I don't.
I'm not a doctor, I just.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so the policy EBBB, does somebody want to make a motion that we approve it or whatever?
Do you want us to go policy by policy?
Well, we'll just do this one.
Okay.
And then,
Since it had the changes.
yeah,
Well, I so move.
I would second that.
okay, then moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 with one absent. All right, now I would entertain a motion to do the rest of these, so we can cross the EBBB off of this, because we just done that.
With the exception of EBBB, which we just passed, or we just moved to accept, I move that we delete the current policies listed, our old policy, DJC, DJCAR, GCDA, /GBDA, of all those ones that are said to recommend delete those and replace them with the ones that are in the list, and then accept that list as stated, with the exception again of the EBBB that we've already approved.
Okay,
I second that.
all right, been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 with one absent.
Glad we didn't do those one at a time.
Yeah. Seeing how many there was and the time of day that it is.
Well, they're very important, so I'm glad.
And if
you
you
these
find,
numbers.
and if you happen to find anything after the fact, bring it up and we can adjust and reapprove.
Yes. So, all right, moving on to E, the meeting closure, the next meeting agenda items. Does somebody have something that they need on the agenda for next month that's not normally there?
I think we will be able to move that OSBA board self-eval into the action item section for the next meeting. Because she should have hopefully they'll respond quickly enough to get that back in time.
All right. Hearing nothing else, we'll move on to number 2, board thanks.
I would like to thank the members of the OSEA and negotiating team, and just for a smooth process, for a positive process, and we're happy we could come to a mutually acceptable agreement.
I have to chime in and agree on that one. I did the same thing last time, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional like I did last time, but I would really like to thank our departing teachers, especially Donna Carter, who has been a very big part of several of my children's educational experiences, and has inspired 2 of my children to enter the healthcare realm through her program. So I will be forever grateful for everything that she has done. And I feel myself getting emotional, so I'm gonna leave it at that, but hopefully all of the other teachers are aware of how much of a gigantic impact they have had on my student, or my children as students, their friends, and the whole district for so long, especially staff, and I can't keep talking, so that's it for me.
I'd just like to second that, especially for Donna, because she was, for most of my teaching career, a neighbor to within usually a classroom or two. She was in the math department for a long time. Her primary training was in health, but she also had a master's certificate in math for a long time. And yeah, she'll be missed.
Yeah.
I don't know, is she gonna be subbing? Is she talking?
She's coming back.
She's coming back. Oh, she's
You guys are breaking my heart for no reason.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Make sure she watches the video.
The timing was right.
Genuinely.
I know, I thought I read that.
Oh my gosh.
So she worked after retirement?
Yeah, she's retired, she's being invited back to.
It's like when you're worried about the dog in the movie and then they're fine.
I'll tell her you said it.
I signed the letter today.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, so there you go. You saw, this was a real world reaction that I just
She
had.
hasn't gotten the memo yet, so.
I want to thank everybody for sticking with us here. It's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah.
All right, well, get up to everything.
Absolutely.
So far.
Absolutely.
Couple of other ones, well, something that I always do, thanks to everybody, all the employees of the district. I mean, it takes them all to make it work. Sandy Herring with Coffee with the Board put that together, and yeah, it was not a lot of people down there, but the people that did show up were very.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Very good, you know, had some concerns and information, so I thought it was very good. Special thanks to Jennifer for putting the budget together the way that she did, and, you know, making it so easy to read and understand. So those 2 things right there. So that's all I got. So that being said, we'll flip over to this page.
There's still 2 pages.
Yeah, I know. Drop that.
Is there any more board requests?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
That's on the page.
I know, but I can make that as my word request.
All right. I second that. Hearing nothing else, we are adjourned.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Yes.
Hopefully you still have feeling in your feet. Those of us who are a little short, where we can reach the ground in these chairs, I might have to sit here for a couple minutes.
I don't have that problem.
Oh.